Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 11 here around Azerbaijan's Baku circuit in RSF1 F5. And as you can see, we've just completed a lap here in Q1 and hoping it'll be enough, but we've decided to go for another lap because we are down in P9, so just out of being careful we thought we'd go for another lap. As you can see, we're well up on our lap through this castle section, which is a pain in the ass of the section. We're purple, and Hail King Tomo caught our eyes slightly, and oh my god, there's a car in the middle of the track! We've gone through him, thank god for ghosting. I absolutely shat myself at that point, but we get away with it. We managed to go through the Alpine that's in the middle of the circuit, and we improved to go to P3, so it's more than enough to get through into Q2. As you can see on screen right now, we finished P3 in the session. Very nice. Our championship rival, Dano, has lost. Has got a 5 grid place penalty. 5 place grid penalty is the English way of putting that. As Shadow Moses, Timmer, Mando, Joshua, and EXR Invade are all out of Q1. Now, championship standings, I haven't been able to get my hands on them this week, but I can tell you now, before this championship race starts, or before this round 11 starts, the gap is 57 points between myself and Dano, and Fruit Boy's just in between us. So, fingers crossed, we can start pouring the gap back, but obviously we had a really tough run with 4 DNFs out of 5 races, which was not ideal. But we can hopefully claw back now, bit by bit. As you can see here in Q2, we're purpling every sector, coming to the line on the medium tyres as well, hoping to get ourselves through. We're in P6 right now with a very average first lap, and we topped the session. Brilliant lap, 40.3 on the mediums, very quick lap that is, and I'm very happy with that. And it's P3. Some people on the softs could not beat us, but our teammate Stars goes out with Mr. Blue Sky, Crunchy Ben, MT the Mighty, the only ones we can see. Somebody's bottom of that session. Now we come to the line here in Q3. Go P2 of our first lap with a 40.303. And now we're coming out of the pit lane to do another lap, and we've completely messed up. Missed our corner, and now we've got to reverse back onto the racing line to try and make the corner. That is poor from us. Try not to take anything out of the tyres. Just letting these cars go down our inside so we don't block anybody's lap. Not risking any damage, just coming back onto the line. And we're perfectly fine. We've avoided any sort of confrontation now and any sort of problem. So now we can move on and hopefully actually set a lap. And as you can see here, we're starting our flying lap now. Hard braking into turn 1. We just about nailed that. Could get a little bit closer on the inside to gain a tiny bit more speed and momentum through the corner. Now into turn 2. Lovely exit off turn 2. Now the DRS is activated. We're giving Locker a bit of a tow here to say sorry for probably scaring him when we reverse back onto the racing line. Now we're coming around turn 3. Lovely exit. We've got a very good downforce setup, which I can thank for Easton and Cornish. Very helpful from them. Now into, I've completely forgotten what turn we're on, but middle sector. This is where we should excel, but I'm struggling in the castle section, to be honest with you. So fingers crossed we can just keep it out of the wall, and that's good enough for us. Now coming up into the castle section. Nail the first part. Completely get the second part wrong. And we lose about 2 to 3 tenths there with a huge error. That was poor from us on our flying lap for pole position. And that is very bad from us. Now we're coming into this corner. We can make up some time. Jump the corner slightly, and we do make up some time. So that's good. But I am absolutely gutted, because we were on for pole. We had a purple first sector, and we've only greened the second sector due to that mistake. And it would have been enough as well, I can tell you now. This lap won't be enough for pole, but without that mistake it would have been enough for pole position. We're coming to the line now, opening the DRS, coming to the line, and we're going to set a 1 minute 40.112. And I'm gutted, guys. 0.373 off the pole position that has been won by only Destroyer. Chadwick gets the front row. Daniel P3, Fruit Boy 4th, myself 5th, Locker 6th, Hippo 7th. Very disappointed. He was the main guy that everyone was looking at for pole today. Dano, the championship leader, in P8. but he's going to drop 5 positions, so he'll be down in P13. Skyline in P9, and James Petty did not set a lap there in Q3. He actually hit the wall, I believe, and lost his front wing. He will be starting from P10, or P9 actually, and Skyline will get P8. But yeah, very disappointing from ourselves. But now we gear up to the 5 red lights, and it is go, go, go here for the Baku Grand Prix in Azerbaijan. And as you can see, Destroyer on pole position has spun into the wall of traction, and he has caused absolute mayhem behind him. I haven't caught it obviously because of my positioning, but it's mayhem behind, and obviously we're trying to keep to our delta, and I think Lockett's at the back of us, and we've gained a 5-second time penalty for that, which is very frustrating. And that 5-second time penalty is going to come back to bite us when we pit later to have to serve it. What a nightmare scenario that is. But a decent start from us. We're up into P3, obviously helped by Destroyer, and obviously I think Daniel P45 was also caught up in the incident. So it could have been us, but we got lucky and we went to the right line and avoided all of that chaos. Now we're into P3. Let's see what we can do. We can settle into this race, see if we can keep in the DRS zone of Fruit Boy and Chadwick for when it does open. And as you can see here, we're having to burn our ERS to stay remotely close to them. And that's because we're running a very high downforce setup. And that's all for the corners of the middle sector. I do not want to be risking anything silly. And as you can see, Fruit Boy and Chadwick going side by side, and we're thinking maybe we can get involved here. Fruit Boy has a little moment, so does Chadwick, and we get a great run, but we have to brake and get off the throttle because Chadwick and Fruit Boy basically had us boxed in there and there was absolutely nowhere to go. So we're just going to back off out of this, let these two battle, and just sit back and enjoy the show and see what happens. We missed the apex there. James Petty has already retired from the session. He's crashed somewhere. And now we just settle. Just need to settle into this race. Don't do anything silly. As you can see, Hippo is catching us because Hippo loves this circuit and he's very quick around here. So he's really catching us now. Really, really fast driver. Fruit Boy holding us up now. Chadwick holding up Fruit Boy, as you can visually see as well. So Chadwick is holding up literally 4 drivers at the moment, which is now giving Skyline a chance to come back into the race. And as you can see, Fruit Boy, we're thinking about a move down the inside, but he's just braked. He's basically braked a lot earlier than I thought he was going to, and I had to brake a lot earlier and take a corner cutting penalty, and we nearly hit the castle section. That was closer than I'd ever want to be. Little mistake through here, and I think Hippo may have clipped us there. I don't know what's happened, but I felt a jolt on the car, but the game hasn't acknowledged any sort of contact, so I believe we've got away with it. But it felt like there was contact from behind, and we're pushing as hard as we possibly can. Hippo's still behind us. We're just going to see if we can defend for as long as possible. He had to go at us previous lap. But now with the DRS activated, I don't think we're going to fight this one too hard. We're going to let Hippo go down the inside for now. No ERS usage. We just sit behind him. And he goes deep though, so we're going to think about the cutback move. Wasn't actually planning on this. He stayed just behind for the line. We run him slightly wide where he had literally no choice but to back out. And we make that move on Hippo. And we continue as Invade retires from the session. Now Chadwick has been passed by Fruit Boy, who has actually gone 2.2 seconds up the road now. Now we're just going to see if we can have a look at Chadwick. And I think Hippo's made contact. And Hippo has gone around. I think he was expecting us to be quicker around that corner. And he's gone around and has brought out a safety car on lap 4, which is now opened up. What do we do? Do we pit for the mediums? Do we pit for the softs? Do we go for the hards, which nobody wants to be on, to be honest with you? The hard tyres are absolutely woeful. So I can't imagine anybody's going to touch them unless you desperately have to. And we're having to pit as well to get rid of this blimmin' penalty we picked up. So we're going to lose a few positions. As you can see, Dano's coming in the pit lane and he's going to jump us as well, which is very frustrating. And Chadwick jumps us. Basically the whole field jumps us other than Joshua, who has to serve a 5-second penalty himself. It's not ideal, but we're in P9. We've got rid of the penalty now, and it's just race to the end. We've had to go for the medium tyres, which means there will be another stop later in the race. So let's see what can happen. Now we got the safety car restart. When is the leader gonna go? We thought about going there, but we didn't know. We couldn't guarantee it. Chadwick does get a decent launch. He's up behind Dano. Dano's trying to go down the inside of our teammate Stars Orphan, who's going to give him more space than he probably deserves. And there we go. There we go. Stars moves out of our way, and we go down the inside of Chadwick too. Tiny bit of contact there, I think. I'm not overly sure. And what I meant by the giving Dano more space than he deserved was Stars Orphan is just a nice guy. He gives everybody more space than they deserve, to be honest with you. And realistically, he should fight things more harder. What a great teammate, though. He never battles me on track, which is lovely to see. And I wouldn't do the same as well if he was the quicker driver on a certain day. Now we're behind Dano now. We're in P7. See if we can close the gap. We obviously started high, but we've had to pit, get rid of a 5-second time penalty. And in hindsight, I kind of wish I pitted for the soft tyres now. And ran the mediums at the end of the race, but unfortunately that is not the case. And we've just had an incident. We had a VSC out. My father called me, which completely threw me off on the restart, and I have now lost a position to Jay Chadwick. Very, very annoying situation. And the reason I had to deal with the phone call is because I run my game on my hotspot. So otherwise, if someone's calling me, it's going to lag horrendously. So I had to cut the call immediately, which is very annoying. But now we get into the slipstream of Jay Chadwick. Using all of our ERS, we are determined to make this move back, because I'm very frustrated right now about losing that position. So I'm going to see if I can get down the inside of Chadwick. And we do so. Go very aggressive. I think he's going to come back at us, but no, he doesn't. He sits in behind now. We're back into P5. Now we can see where we can go, but we have a big, huge moment, and Chadwick is now trying to pass us. We've got Joshua also trying to make a move on us. This is getting sketchy. We're 3 wide for the second time in this race, and that ain't ideal. That's not what we're looking for. But we managed to keep Josh behind us for now. Chadwick has made the move on us, which is frustrating. But now we're just trying to settle down again. Losing the back end slightly. As you can see, Crunchy Bear has hit the wall and is out of this Grand Prix. Crunchy Bear is out. Now we have to defend from Josh, which I don't believe there's much we can do. Turned our ERS off. We're just going to let Josh go down the inside. He's just quicker on his day. We're obviously on a different strat as well, and we've gone for the setup that gives us better cornering. So we're just going to sit behind Josh and see where he takes us, basically. But you can probably see now, Josh will get away slightly. We do have the DRS activated, which realistically you could maybe have a move. I think about it here, but decide against it. But then he opens the door, and we just rub wheels. Nothing in that, really. And it was just one of those where I didn't think he was going to give me the space, but credit to Josh, he did give me the space. And yeah, I decided to pounce on that. Now we got a VSC again, another VSC. Somebody else is out, which I believe this VSC does get upgraded to a safety car. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We're up to, I think, 4 safety car and VSCs used now. And we're probably about to make that 5. Yes, we are. A VSC to a safety car. This one has been upgraded. Now, what do? We're in 4th place. The only way we pit now is to go to a set of softs and try and take them to the end. As we notice, Fruit Boy is attempting. Now, that is brave, because soft tyres around here get chewed up after 6 laps. And, yeah, I wouldn't feel safe doing that. I'd feel like that's a disaster waiting to happen. But credit to Fruit Boy if he's going to give it an attempt. But we take the lead because we decide to stay out. Yes, we're going to have to pit for softs at some point in this race. But now we go to the safety car restart. This is the most important part of the race. If we was on fresh tyres, we would probably pull away by a margin. But because we're not on fresh tyres, it's about trying to keep these tyres in working order for as long as possible. But it's all about this restart. If we get the restart wrong, then we lose a position. But we absolutely nail the restart. Locker was to be honest with you, he was pretty aware. He came with us a little bit. But we managed to get it right. And now it's time to just try and bolt. And that is necessary at this point. We do need to bolt. We don't make a slight mistake there because we're pushing very hard. but we do need to get away from the field and basically take these tyres to about lap 19, lap 20 to pit and put the softs on, as we make a huge mistake. We turned too early, but luckily fixed it so we didn't get any wing damage. And I've been quite impressed with myself so far. Absolutely no wing damage, which is superb. You can't go wrong with that. And yeah, it's great to see. But now we continue. Locker is keeping up relatively with us. It's nearly about second now. And we're coming into the section of the track which I absolutely hate. As you can probably tell from how slow I take it. And sometimes, well, from the twice in this video you've seen me make mistakes through there. And to be honest with you guys, that wasn't nailed either, but Locker didn't nail it. Fruit Boy looks like he's made a move on Dano somewhere. We've got a yellow flag at the back of the field. I think that's Jay Chadwick, who's gone straight on somewhere, lost his front wing. And now he's up to peculiar stuff. But as you can see, now he's nowhere near, he's off the back of the field. He's just cruising around. We're catching him slowly. But Dano is now in P2. He was 2.3 seconds behind us when he made that move on Josh to take P2. Now, can he close that gap? As you can see, he's brought it down 3 tenths already. He is flying. Make that 4 tenths. As soon as we come around the next corner, he's brought it down again by another tenth. We're pushing as hard as we can. We did notice that he's catching us. We make a slight error through here. And now he's down to 1.6 seconds, 1.5 seconds, 1.4. Dano is flying. 1.3, 1.2. I don't know how he's doing this. Yes, my tyres are old, but he's making me look like I'm in the wrong tier. He's making me look like he's a tier above. It's crazy pace that Dano's showing right now, and we're trying our best. We are pushing as hard as we can. Our tyres are not that worn at this stage. They're fine. They can still run. They're not great, but they can still keep going. But Dano is flying. He's now right up behind us. We're using ERS to defend down this straight. But at some point, you're just going to have to realise that defence is not worth it. He is way too fast for me right now. But we keep him there for the moment. As we come down the straight, we did use a lot of ERS to defend from him. And that is lovely for now. We do keep him in P2. But how long can we keep a driver as quick as Dano behind us when we're on worn tyres? I'm not sure. Now, in hindsight, realistically, I should have probably pitted at the end of this lap. I didn't think this one through. Now we're pushing as hard as we possibly can. Josh in P3, Fruit Boy, sorry, in P3. Josh in P4. Now, Fruit Boy is still on those tyres that he pitted for a few laps ago on the safety car. I think 4 laps ago. Those tyres will be destroyed by the end of this race, but he is still going. He's trying his best, as we saw Mando retiring in the pits. Now Mando has left the session. We make a huge error through there, hit the walls, and we go across to have a look at our car to see if there's any wing damage. We realise there isn't. At this point we should pit, but for some silly reason we decide against pitting right now, and we do stay out. And we're going to continue as we are, and we're going to pit at the end of this lap. And as you can see, Dano has passed us and pulling away comfortably at this point. There's nothing we can do. We're going to get in the DRS here, get it activated, use a tiny bit of ERS to stay with him a little bit. But Dano is pulling away and there's nothing we can do. Now, into this section, if I broke any later there, I think I would have probably collapsed into the back of Dano, so I broke a lot earlier than I would probably normally would want to. Now, it's all about trying to keep up with him. Dano is now bolted away. There's nothing we can do. Fruit Boy behind us. Josh behind him. Now we're moving to the left because we are coming into the pit lane. This lap, Fruit Boy is coming past us. And we're down to P3 as we box to get a set of soft tyres on the car to run to the end of the race. And as you can see, we're coming out the pit lane. We're in P8. We've got a 2.8 second, 2.9 second gap to Stars and a 9.3 second or 9.4 now gap to Timmer. So it's all about what can we do. As you can see, Stars is on the hard tyres and struggling. My teammate in front of me right now. We're coming up behind him. What a noble driver. Stars just moves out of the way. I'll give him a little wiggle to say thank you. What a legend. Got out of my way to let me use those fresh soft tyres. And now it's all about closing that gap to Timmer and seeing if we can do anything after that. But you can see the gap to destroy is 14.4 seconds. I very much doubt we'll get anywhere near that. We need a couple cars to pit as well, which will help us if they do. And it's very unlikely. I think at this point I realised that Fruit Boy was going to attempt to take those cars to the end. And, I mean, if anyone can do it, it's Fruit Boy. He has done it a couple times this season. He's, the way I like to put it, he's a bit of a psychopath. Taking tyres way longer than they should. But Dano in the pit lane serving his 5-second time penalty as we set the fastest lap of the race. But Dano has strapped on a set of new softs. So Dano is now behind us. He's got rid of his time penalty. Now we're closing the gap to Timmer at 1.9 seconds. We are gaining rapidly. 1.6 after turn 1, 1.4. We are literally one of the fastest guys on the track right now. Yes, we have the fastest lap at the moment, but I'm sure a couple of people will try and pit at the end that are nowhere near to try and steal that lap. Steal that fastest lap point. But at the moment, we've got it. Now we're right up behind Tim, who's holding us up through the castle section. We're trying to find a way past as early as possible now. Timmer is holding us up slightly, and there's not an awful lot we can do. Skyline, who is in front of us, has crashed. Skyline is in the wall, and we're coming around this corner. We just find him here, sat on the racing line. It looks like he's run slightly wide and bounced off the wall. Timmer and myself just avoid him. Now we continue in our little battle, because there won't be any more safety cars because they have been used. Our limit of them have been used. Now we're trying to get up behind Timmer. We have a little moment through the high speed right, but it's not too much of a moment. It's just enough so we can control it. Now we're using all of our ERS, and now we've got the DRS activated. Turn off the ERS slightly because I think we've got enough overspeed. We're going to go for this move down the inside of Timmer, and it is comfortable. We do run slightly wide, just about stay within the track limit, and that's a nice move. If we did run wide there, that would have been a time penalty. And that would be very, very bad in this race, because nobody really is picking up time penalties. So that would have been awful. Now we continue. Lap 24. You can see the gap now to Fruit Boy. 8.1 seconds. Can we close that gap in 2 laps? It's down to 4.6 seconds. We're starting the final laps. We have closed about 3.4 seconds in 1 lap. His tyres are gone. They are shot. And it's all about what can we do. Are our tyres good enough to push? And it feels okay at the moment. We don't really have much ERS to play with. If he does pick up a time penalty, we'll probably get him. But we are just pushing as hard as our car will allow us. We're having to brake early because we have to be realistic. We turn a little bit early. Just about get away with that. If we hit the wall there, we were out. We are pushing as hard as we possibly can. 3.5, 3.4. It's coming down so quick. 3.3. We can't do any more than we are currently doing. We're pushing the car to over its limits at this point. Bouncing off all the curves, nearly losing the back end every single corner. Making sure we don't pick up a time penalty, because one more warning will give us that. But we are pushing. We're hoping for a mistake from Fruit Boy. We're hoping he makes a little error. But it just doesn't seem likely. It's 2.8 now. We needed an extra lap. If we could have pitted a lap earlier, we potentially would have passed him here. But we are pushing as hard as we possibly can. But there are things hanging over his head. Remember, this is provisional. If anything does change in this race, I will let you know at the next race. But there is potential that Fruit Boy could lose P3 and I could get P3. That would be amazing for me. It'd be a shame for Fruit Boy because he's done a superb drive taking these tyres as long as he has. And he's done a fantastic job as Josh wins from 19th on the grid to win the race. We've got Fruit Boy coming home in P3, Destroyer P2, myself P4 at the moment. But fingers crossed we will get promoted to P3. Dano, the championship leader, comes home in P6. Daniel steals the fastest lap in P7 there. Stars off in 8th. MT the Mighty 9th. And Locker the final finisher in P10. I hope you guys have enjoyed today's episode. I've been Chris 12 LFC, and I'll see you later.